Jai Gurudev, and thank you for joining us today. So again, today we have with us an expert and an officer of the Vedic Dharma Sansthan. So we have with us the day six of the You and the Universe talk by His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji. So let's continue our discussion now. So Gurudev mentioned that the body is a colony inside of you. What does this signify from a yogic and Vedic perspective? Gurudev beautifully conveys that our body is not a single entity but a living colony of trillions of cells, bacteria, and energies, each performing its role in harmony. Ayurveda and yoga call this the Sharira Samhita, a composite of doshas, dhatus, and malas. This colony reflects the microcosm of the universe, each organ like a planet revolving in rhythm. In the Atharva Veda, the body is described as a yagya bhumi, a sacred field of energy where life forces operate. When we realize that we are custodians of a vast inner universe, we begin to live it more consciously, maintaining purity, food discipline, and mental balance. Gurudev's word reminds us that health and spirituality are deeply intertwined through self awareness. Gurudev spoke about blood acid and constipation as a signs of imbalance. How are these interpreted in Ayurveda? Blood acid indicates excess pitta, the fire element governing metabolism. Constipation signifies disturbed vata. Both are results of stress, irregular routines, and improper diet. Practices like Sudarshan Kriya balance these energies, purifying the system naturally. In ancient texts, imbalance in bodily fluids or rasadhatu and improper elimination of waste or mala were considered root causes of disease. When Gurudev connects these to karma and emotion, it highlights how physical toxins mirror emotional and mental toxins. Cleansing through pranayama, meditation, and sattva food restores the natural flow of life energy. Now, what is the spiritual meaning of the three vines on the forehead mentioned by Gurudev? The three vines symbolize the three channels of subtle energy, the Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. These are the sacred pathways to which prana flows. Gurudev refers to them poetically, reminding us that alignment of these channels stabilizes the mind and leads to spiritual awakening. In Vedic rituals, these three lines correspond to the Tripundra, or the representing Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Applying sandalwood or sacred ashes, not just tradition, it harmonizes energies and protects the mind from external disturbances. The lines act as subtle boundaries, preserving the sanctity of consciousness. Now, Gurudev mentioned that ancient people applied sandal paste or ash to keep the mind from getting detached to others. Can you elaborate? Yes, Jagudev, the forehead is the seat of the Agya Chakra, governing intuition and clarity. When we interact with others, our thoughts and energies often intermingle. The sandal pays the vibhuti and kumkum serves as energetic insulation. It cools the mind, centers awareness, and prevents emotional entanglement. Now, the Tripundra Dharana Vidhi is in Shaiva text explains this scientifically. Sandalwood regulates body temperature, while ash absorbs negative energy. Gurudev's insight shows that ancient rituals were based on deep bioenergetic wisdom. It was a kind of spiritual hygiene, protecting the inner mind from psychic pollution. Now, Gurudev spoke about the forehead as a location of key energies. How does modern science relate to this? Neuroscience today identifies the prefrontal cortex as the seat of higher reasoning and empathy. Gurdjieff's reference aligns perfectly. Meditation activates this area, promoting calmness and decision making. The vines he mentions can be viewed as symbolic of the neural pathways energizing this region. In Tantric Shaivism, the Agya Chakra is considered the gateway between the individual and cosmic mind. This correlates with the pineal gland, the third eye. Modern endocrinology supports this. Melatonin secretion here affects sleep, mood, and intuition. Science is rediscovering what our rishis already knew. Now, what does Gurudev mean when he says your mind should be your forehead? It's about awareness. When attention is centered in the forehead, one is alert yet peaceful. Gurudev often says, be centered. This region governs perception beyond intellect, what we call intuition. Anchoring awareness here stops the mind from wandering. The Bhagavad Gita calls this dharana, one pointed concentration. When energy stays in the Agya Chakra, external influences cannot disturb you. This is how saints maintain equanimity even in chaos. Gurudev revives this ancient practice in simple daily mindfulness. Now, Gurudev linked hygiene and spiritual protection. How are these connected? Jagadeva, physical hygiene prevents disease, spiritual hygiene prevents sorrow. The ancients knew both are essential. Applying sacred substances, chanting mantras, and meditating daily cleanses the subtle aura, just as bathing cleansed the body. The Vedic rituals like Snana and the Sandhya Vandanam and the Agnihotra were daily purifiers. Gurudev's discourse reminds us that hygiene is not only external but also energetic. When the aura is pure, the external negativity cannot enter. This is the science behind rituals. Now, Gurudev mentions that the ancient system helped prevent sorrow. How so? Negative sorrows arise when energy stagnates. Rituals like tilak, chanting, and pranayama kept energy dynamic. These practices activated joy centers in the brain. Gurudev revives this understanding. Spirituality is preventive health care for the soul. In Vedic anthropology, dukkha or sorrow is imbalance between Atma and Prakriti. The ancients used sacred symbols to align both. When the forehead remains cool and centered, the mind doesn't identify with suffering. That's what Gurudev meant. Wise living prevents emotional diseases. Now, Gurudev humorously asked, why do you have to do all this? What did he intend? Gurudev often playfully points to how much effort we waste in overthinking. All this in your head means that suffering is mostly self created drama. Awareness dissolves it instantly. Yes, it's Maya. The mind storms like the night, as Gurudev said, but there is no real threat. When we recognize this illusion, calm returns. Vedas say, Manohi Moolam Bandhasya. The mind alone is the cause of bondage. Now, Gurudev says those who have a guru, they don't have a problem. How do you interpret this? Gurudev, a guru is like a compass in life's storm. When you walk with awareness of your guru's presence, confusion dissolves, problems remain externally but lose emotional grip. In Guru Gita, it is said, Guru bin jnana nahi, the guru's vibration harmonizes your karmic field. Gurudev is describing experiential truth. Surrender to the guru transforms fear into faith. Now, Gurudev compares the guru to a lifeguard. Could you expand this metaphor? Jagadeva life's ocean has waves, success, failure, joy, and grief. Without guidance, we drown in emotion. The Guru is a lifeguard who knows the currents and keeps us afloat with the wisdom and grace. Symbolically, the Guru represents Ishvara operating through human form. His mere remembrance creates a safety field in the subtle plane. Just as a lifeguard protects in water, the Guru protects in consciousness. Now, Gurudev says the Guru comes into your consciousness first. What does this imply? Jagadev, when one truly awakens, the first realization is gratitude to the Guru. The Guru is not outside, he is the awakened dimension of your own self. His remembrance aligns your consciousness with the universal rhythm. In yogic initiation, this is called Guru Tattva Pravesh. Before divine light manifests, the Guru's grace appears. Gurudev beautifully captures the sacred psychology. Awakening begins with remembrance. Now, when you hear the Guru, there is no fear. Why does remembrance remove fear? Jagadev, fear arises from separation. Remembering the Guru reconnects you with infinite support. It dissolves the ego's illusion of isolation. That is why chanting the Guru's name brings an instant calm. In the Rig Veda, it says, the Guru Saksham Parabrahma. The Guru embodies cosmic consciousness. His remembrance activates divine protection. It's not faith alone, it's energetic resonance. Now, Gurudev mentions no fear is a very good process. What is the process here? Jayavdev, the process is surrender and awareness. When you live without resistance, fear cannot survive. Gurudev guides seekers from anxiety to trust through meditation and devotion. Devotion in Yoga Sutras, Abhaya Pratishtha, or establishing in fearlessness, is the mark of deep sadhana. The Guru helps stabilize us. It's not emotion, it's a vibrational state. Now, Gurudev compares Christianity's household context to the Indian Guru system. What does it mean? Jagadev, he highlights cultural evolution. Christianity grew in domestic community settings, whereas India developed in the Guru Shishya Parampara, emphasizing inner transformation to direct transmission. The Vedic system preserved experiential learning, the Shravanam, the Mananam, and the Nididhyasam. The absence of Guru culture in the West led to external worship. India retained internal awakening through lived masters. Now, Gurudev says, when there is no Guru, there is no hope. Why such emphasis? Because the Guru is the bridge between confusion and clarity. Without that guidance, one keeps wandering intellectually. Hope springs when you feel held by grace. In Mundaka Upanishad, it is said that only through the Guru can Brahma Vidya be realized. Gurudev is echoing this eternal truth. Self effort without guidance leads to exhaustion. Now, how does having a Guru influence health and energy? Then when you surrender to the Guru's vibration, your nervous system relaxes deeply, stress hormones drop, immunity rises, Gurudev's presence itself heals. He is a walking prana shakti. In Ayurveda, Guru is called Chikitsaka Paraman, the supreme healer. His grace aligns prana, tejas, and ojas. This alignment restores harmony in the body and mind. Now, Gurudev said, it's like having someone in front of you on the new journey. What does this signify? It means spiritual evolution is not a lonely path. The Guru walks ahead, lighting the way. You just follow with faith. The Upanishads call the Guru the Margadarshaka, the pathfinder in every new birth of awareness. He precedes you, ensuring you never fall back into ignorance. How can one maintain this connection with the Guru daily? Jagadev, through regular sadhana, seva, and satsang, remember his teachings, chant his name, and meditate. Gurudev says, when you remember me, I am with you. That remembrance sustains connection. The Smriti Shastras emphasize Guru Smarana, mental worship. Even one sincere remembrance creates a protective field. Living consciously in his grace makes every act sacred. Now, what is the central message of Gurudev's Day 5 discourse on you and the universe? The universe is mirrored within you. Your body, mind, and consciousness are microcosmic reflections of the cosmic order. Awareness of this makes life sacred. Gurudev reawakens Vedic wisdom in modern language, reminding us that true hygiene, health, and happiness come from alignment with the Guru, the Self, and the universe. When you realize this unity, life becomes effortless grace. Now, Gurudev described how the ancient people intuitively knew the placement of the three lines on the forehead to protect the mind. How do you see this in connection with today's science of bioenergy and neuropsychology? Gurudev's statement bridges the gap between ancient wisdom and modern science. The three sacred lines drawn with the sandal paste, vibhuti, or turmeric act as energy stabilizers. These materials have a natural cooling, antiseptic, and electromagnetic balancing properties. When placed on the Agya Chakra area, the space between the eyebrows, they influence the pineal and pituitary glands. These glands regulate mood, sleep, and energy flow. So the ancients were, in essence, practicing neuroregulation through rituals. Gurudev says insight that this prevents one mind from getting entangled with another, reveals profound psychological understanding. Today, in psychology, we speak of empathic resonance or emotional contagion. The tilak protects against this energetic leakage by keeping awareness centered in one's own consciousness. Absolutely, the Agni Puran and the Shaiva Agamas detail that these three lines correspond to Iksha Shakti or the power of intention, the Jnana Shakti or the power of knowledge, and the Kriya Shakti or the power of action. When aligned, the mind becomes pure and self contained. Gurudev's explanation revitalizes this understanding. Applying sacred pace is not a mere tradition, but an energetic hygiene to maintain clarity. Modern energy medicine confirms that energy through thought carries a vibration imprint. When minds mix unconsciously, we experience confusion, jealousy, or sorrow. The tilak, like an energy firewall, shields the manas from these disturbances. Gurudev's discourse urges us to see that these ancient customs were based on precise observation of how consciousness interacts through energy fields. They remind us that spiritual hygiene, like physical cleanliness, must be a daily discipline. In today's overstimulated digital world, where constant mental contact drains energy, this ancient practice becomes even more vital. It is, as Gurudev implies, a simple yet scientific way to live grounded, joyful, and self aware amidst the chaos of collective thought currents. Now, Gurudev described how our body is a bundle of blood where many actions constantly occur. What deeper significance does this statement hold for seekers of self awareness? Jagadev, when Gurudev says your body is a bundle of blood, he is inviting us to perceive the body not merely as flesh and bones, but as a dynamic field of transformation. Blood is the carrier of prana, of life intelligence. Every drop is pulsating with memory, nutrition, emotion, and consciousness. Modern biology confirms that blood communicates with every cell, transmitting not only oxygen but also hormonal and energetic messages. In meditation, when one becomes still, awareness can sense this pulsation, the rhythm of life itself. Recognizing this helps dissolve body ego identification. You start seeing your body as a sacred instrument constantly serving you. Gurudev often reminds us you are not the body belongs to you. This awareness liberates you from attachment and invites gratitude. From a Vedic standpoint, the Rakta or the blood is not only physical but also energetic. It's the manifestation of Agni or the fire principle within us. The Rashtra Shastra, the Rasa Shastra, texts describe blood as a seed of courage. vitality, and enthusiasm or utsaha. When Gurudev calls it a bundle of activity, he echoes the Rigvedic idea of Pragya Shakti, the living fire that sustains consciousness. Every metabolic process, every heartbeat is a miniature yagya happening within. When the seeker realizes this sacred chemistry, reverence replaces negligence. The sadhana becomes a means to purify the inner fire and align it with the cosmic rhythm. Now, Gurudev spoke of the three types of vines on the forehead that never cross each other. How do these relate to the energy meridians or nadis described in yogic science? These vines symbolically represent the three major nadis, the Ida, Pingla, and Sushumna. They originate from the base of the spine and ascend toward the crown, governing our physical, mental, and spiritual states. The Ida corresponds to lunar, the cooling energy, the Pingla to solar activating energy, and Sushumna to balance and transcendence. Gurudev says remark that they do not cross refers to their perfect equilibrium when one is centered and calm. During meditation or Sudarshan Kriya, breath rhythmically balances these channels, creating harmony between logic and intuition, activity and rest, and matter and spirit. Now, in Shiva Swarodaya Shastra, it is written that life's secret lies in these three currents of pranic flow. When Ida dominates, one feels emotional or lethargic. When Pingla dominates, one becomes aggressive or restless. Only when both are balanced does Susumna awaken, leading to higher states of meditation. Gurudev simplifies this a profound science. For the modern world, his description of three lines on the forehead is not just poetic, it's a reference to this bio-spiritual architecture. The ancient tilak marks the alignment of these channels, inviting balance and divine protection. Now, Gurudev mentioned that the universe is amazing and ancient people somehow knew the science behind their practices. How could such wisdom have originated? The ancients didn't merely experiment intellectually, they experienced. Their science came through direct perception or pratyaksha anubhava. Gurudev often says that consciousness is the source of all knowledge. The rishis accessed a higher dimension through meditation, where the subtleties of matter, energy, and consciousness were revealed spontaneously. Their discoveries, whether about the planets, herbs, or body, arose from this unified vision. Indeed, the Rig Veda declares, Hridaya Graham Paramam Vedam. The supreme knowledge lies hidden in the heart through tapas and silence. The seer is tuned into the cosmic frequency where truth self reveals. Gurudev is reviving that same experiential science today. Quantum physics echoes it. Reality responds to consciousness, thus, ancient intuition and modern investigation converge when awareness is defined. Now, Gurudev's description of storming all night in the mind sounds psychological. How does one still the storm? Jagata, the storm symbolizes uncontrolled thought waves. Meditation, pranayama, and sudarshan kriya dissipate these clouds by resetting the nervous system. Gurudev teaches that silence is not the absence of thought, it's the strength to remain unshaken amidst them. In the Kathopanishad, the mind is compared to turbulent horses. Only through the guidance of a guru can one rein them in. Rituals, chanting, and right food pacify inner storms. Gurudev's compassion lies in making this ancient discipline accessible to all, so peace becomes a lived reality, not a distant ideal. Now, Gurudev emphasized that the Guru appears as the first presence in consciousness. What does this mean in advanced meditation? Jagadiv, when the seeker's awareness begins to expand, the first vibration felt is the Guru's grace. It's the energy signature that anchors consciousness. Gurudev teaches that the Guru is not a physical entity but a principle or the tattva that awakens dormant wisdom within. The Guru Gita says, Dhyana Moolam Gurur Murtim. The Guru's form is the foundation of meditation. Gurudev's statement reminds practitioners that divine consciousness manifests first as the guiding light, ensuring that no seeker is ever truly alone in their journey toward liberation. Now, no fear is a very good process. Gurudev said, can fearlessness itself be cultivated systematically? Jagadav, yes, to breath and awareness, fear is just a frozen prana. Practices like Bhastrika and Sudarshan Kriya melt that frozen energy. Gurudev's presence itself instills courage. His teachings rewire the brain toward trust. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, the Abhayam Vel Prapnoti Jnanam Vataha. Knowledge leads to fearlessness. When ignorance dissolves, fear vanishes. Gurudev's method is both ancient and scientific, aligned breath, mind, and awareness, and fear becomes impossible. Gurudev draws a parallel between the Guru and a lifeguard. How can this metaphor transform one's perspective on surrender? Jayagadev, surrender doesn't mean passivity. It means trusting the higher intelligence that knows how to swim through life's waves. Like a lifeguard, the Guru doesn't swim for you but teaches you buoyancy. Gurudev embodies that compassionate vigilance, always watching and never controlling. Now, the Shvetashtra Upanishad calls the Guru Taraka the one who ferries across. The lifeguard metaphor is profound. He watches silently but intervenes at the right moment. The surrender is active partnership with grace, not blind dependency. Now, Gurudev says, when there is no Guru, there is no hope. In this statement, universal, or does it, is this statement universal or does it refer to an inner awakening? Both the outer Guru awakens the inner one when you feel guided, hope dawns naturally. Without that connection, the mind becomes its own enemy, lost in confusion. In Vedic philosophy, Guru Tattva is cosmic, not personal. It's the intelligence guiding evolution itself. Gurudev emphasizes that when you lose touch with this higher intelligence, life feels meaningless. Reconnecting brings back joy, direction, and faith. Now, Gurudev linked the forehead markings with psychic protection. Is this connected to the modern idea of an aura? Yes, very much. The aura is the electromagnetic field surrounding the body. The forehead, being the Agya Chakra, is its command center. Applying sandal paste or vibhuti seals the field, preventing energetic leakage. The Atharveda describes protective mantras for the head and heart called Shiras Kavachas. These act like shields against subtle disturbances. Gurudev's explanation reveals the same principle in a contemporary context. Ancient spirituality is living science of subconsciousness management. Now, Gurudev said that the forehead lines prevent one's mind from attaching to others. How can this be understood in relation to emotional boundaries in daily life? Jayadam, in the modern world, emotional entanglement happens unconsciously. We pick up others, moods, fears, and desires through subtle energy exchange. Gurudev's wisdom reveals how ancient practices maintain clear emotional hygiene. The three lines, whether drawn from ash, sandal paste, or turmeric, acted like a mindful pause, a daily reset reminding us, I am centered in myself. Emotionally, this translates to viveka or discernment. You interact with love but without absorption. That is true compassion. In Vedic psychology, Manas of the mind is porous. It receives impressions of samskaras constantly. To protect it, the sages prescribed the tilakadharana. The forehead is energy center. Agya chakra is where thoughts originate. When it is balanced, empathy doesn't become suffering. Gurudev's interpretation bridges science and spirituality to remain mentally sovereign. One must daily renew one's connection with the divine center. This simple practice today can prevent burnout, jealousy, and relational drain in workplaces and homes alike. Now, Gurudev emphasized the cooling quality of sandalwood and the purifying nature of ash. How do these affect subtle consciousness? Jagadev, sandalwood carries the Prithvi Tattva, or the earth element, rounding and cooling fairy Pitta. In meditation, its aroma soothes the mind and enhances concentration. The Vibhuti, or the sacred ash, represents the Agni Tattva, the purified residue of transformation. When applied, it reminds us of impermanence. All is dust yet divine. Together, they balance fire and earth within consciousness. Now, Ayurveda and Tantra describe the forehead as a junction of Agni, or the heat, and Soma, or coolness. Sandal controls excess fire, while Vibhuti symbolizes transcendent fire, fire that purifies but does not burn. Gurudev reintroduces this ancient balance for modern seekers, material calmness with a spiritual alertness. Applying them daily is symbolic yoga. It externalizes an inner equilibrium of discipline and surrender. Now, Gurudev said, why do you have to do all this? All this is in your mind. How can this be applied to daily stress and anxiety? He meant that most problems are mental projections, not actual crises. When one steps back into awareness, 80% of life's stress simply evaporates. The Sudarshan Kriya, meditation, and silence programs train the nervous system to witness rather than react. Gurudev wants us to see that struggle is optional, presence is the cure. Now, the Mandukya Upanishad calls this Vikalpa Maya, the false imagination. Our thoughts create storms where reality is calm. When Gurudev playfully asks, why do you have to do all this? He reminds us to stop unnecessary mental drama. In Vedic terms, this is Chitta Shuddhi, the purification of consciousness through awareness. It's a practical spirituality. Now, Gurudev's statement, nothing at all, after a series of reflective questions, sounds then like, what is the essence behind this? Yes, Gurudev often uses simplicity to point toward a void, the space beyond mind. Nothing at all isn't nihilism, it's liberation. When all mental agitation ceases, what remains is vastness, silence that is alive. That silence is the universe's true sound. Now, in Vedic terms, this is a shunyata Brahma, emptiness that contains everything. Gurudev's casual phrasing demystifies the deepest Upanishadic truth. Realizing this, nothing brings a total fearlessness and joy. It's a profound teaching hidden in light humor. Now, those who have a guru don't have a problem. How does faith in the guru resolve problems? Now, the faith shifts perception. With the guru's presence, challenges remain but lose their power to disturb. You respond instead of react. Gurudev's grace acts like sunlight dissolving fog. Problems turn into lessons. In Bhakti Sutras, it is said, Guru Charan Smaranam Dukkanasanam. Remembering the Guru's feet dissolves sorrow. Faith invokes the divine field of resolution. Gurudev embodies the timeless protection. His energy reorganizes chaos into harmony. Now, Gurudev compares the Guru to someone walking ahead on a new journey. What does this mean metaphysically? It means consciousness evolves in stages. The Guru walks ahead as the awakened self, guiding your dormant potential. You follow through trust and practice. Each time you meditate, he is already there lighting the path. The Upanishads call this the Purvagami Jyoti, the light that precedes. The Guru's energy travels before the disciple, clearing karmic pathways. Gurudev simplifies this cosmic truth into a living relationship. Grace goes before effort. Now, Gurudev emphasized that the first being who appears in your consciousness is your Guru. How can we experience this practically? During deep meditation or silence, when identity dissolves, the first awareness that dawns is gratitude, the personified as Guru. Remembering him daily, chanting his name, or even silently feeling his presence activates that same consciousness. In turn, the Guru is called Hridaya Mudra, the gesture of the heart. His vibration lives in the disciple's subtle body. Gurudev invites us to awaken to that inner guidance. It's not imagination but resonance. Now, Gurudev's phrase, when you hear him, there is no fear, beautifully blends devotion and psychology. That's how. Hearing the Guru means tuning consciousness to his frequency, the love, not fear. His voice cuts through the noise of doubt. Neuroscientifically, remembrance activates the parasympathetic nervous system, calming the amygdala, the seat of fear. The Rig Veda says the Shravanat Bhayam Nashyati. Fear ends by listening. The Guru's words vibrate at a frequency that dissolves duality. Gurudev revives this ancient feeling and healing listening becomes meditation. Now, Gurudev said that no fear is a very good process. How can one make fearlessness a lifestyle? Through abhyasa or practice and vairagya or non attachment, Gurudev's courses are designed for this. A rhythmic breath balances hormones, while seva and gratitude uproot insecurity. Fearlessness is not recklessness, it's total trust in the flow. In Yoga Vasista, fear is born from duality. Constant remembrance of the self destroys it. Gurudev's guidance is the practical Vedanta. Live fearlessly by seeing the Guru and God as your own self. Now, Gurudev says remarks that in Christianity, Guru did not have anything. It's a household work. What lesson lies in this comparison? He meant that Western spirituality became domesticated, focused on family or community, not personal realization. Gurudev emphasizes bringing back experiential wisdom, direct communion with consciousness. Yes, the Vedic system preserved the parampara, the transmission through living masters. Gurudev brings this both east and west by reintroducing the Guru Tattva in modern families, turning household life into a temple of awareness. Now, Gurudev speaks of no guru, no hope. How does having a guru renew hope amid the modern chaos? Gurudev, in times of uncertainty, the Guru's guidance acts as a compass. You stop being tossed by opinions, his presence realigns you with Dharma. Gurudev's global mission has done exactly this, reignited millions in our light. In Vedic culture, hope or asha is not wishful thinking, it's spiritual strength or shraddha. The Guru nourishes this by transmitting the tejas. Without that inner luminosity, hope decays. Gurudev's grace restores it effortlessly. Now, Gurudev's teaching suggests that having a guru prevents the mind from storming. How? Because remembrance of the Guru shifts the mind from turbulence to trust. His presence is like the still eye of a cyclone, anchored yet alive. With practice, one's own consciousness becomes equally stable. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yoginam api sarvesha mad gate natatmanam. Those who merge in the Guru's awareness attain peace. Gurudev teaches this through lived example, peace to surrender. Now, Gurudev often uses humor when discussing deep truths. What is the spiritual role of humor? Humor dissolves rigidity. When the mind laughs, it opens. Gurudev uses it as a tool for awakening. Through laughter, ego loosens its grip and understanding dawns naturally. The Natya Shastra lists Hasya Rasa as divine emotion. Even Shiva smiles as Ananda Tandava. Gurudev says lightness embodies the cosmic play or the Leela. He reminds us that spirituality is joyful, not serious. Now, Gurudev said that definitely those who have a guru don't have a problem. Can devotion really change destiny? Yes, devotion transforms karma's grip when surrender deepens, karmic energy burns faster. Gurudev says love is stronger than destiny. Through Guru's grace, suffering becomes evolution. The Shastras call this Guru Kripa Kataksha, the guidance and the glance of grace. It is said one look from the Guru nullifies lifetimes of karma. Gurudev embodies this living truth. His presence itself is liberation. The Gurudev explained that when the Guru calls, fear vanishes. How can we recognize such a call? It's an inner nudge. Peace amidst chaos, clarity amidst confusion. Gurudev's call is felt as intuition guiding you toward truth. Listen in silence, that's where he speaks. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it's written that divine call arises as longing for a higher life. Gurudev awakens this longing, responding to it transforms destiny. It's your soul answering itself. Now, Gurudev emphasized presence before prayer. Prayer, what does that mean? Gurudev, before words, there must be awareness. Presence makes prayer real. Gurudev often says, be still, then your prayer is God's own whisper. Presence tunes intention with the divine rhythm. The Rig Veda begins with the Agnim Ile Purohitam, invoking fire before offering. Presence is that inner fire. Without it, ritual is empty. Gurudev restores his essence, awareness first, action later. Now, Gurudev often speaks about mind not attaching to others. How can we maintain inner independence in a hyper-connected age? By periodic disconnection, digital fasting, silence retreats, and daily meditation, Gurudev reminds us that solitude restores clarity. Real connection begins only when we are inwardly free. In the Vedas, detachment is called vairagya, not isolation, but mastery over attachment. Gurudev's teachings reframe this for modern times. Engage with the world, but don't lose your center. Now, Gurudev's discourse implies that ancient rituals were subtle sciences of consciousness. How can we revive them authentically today? Jagata, by restoring their essence, not blind repetition but awareness, Gurudev translates rituals into experiences. When we understand why we do something, it regains sacred power. Yes, revival requires education and inner purity. Every tilak chant and offering has vibration logic. Gurudev's organization and Vedic Dhamma together preserves this living heritage with the clarity and devotion. Now, how does Gurudev's teaching on body awareness connect to global well-being movements? Is teaching that your body is a colony parallels microbiome science. Wellness isn't isolation, it's a symbiosis. Gurudev's yoga and Triya strengthen both immunity and empathy, blending spirituality with biology. Vedas describe swastha as established in the self. Gurudev's model unites Ayurveda, neuroscience, and meditation. This integrated approach is the future of holistic health worldwide. Now, let's summarize the day. Day 5 reveals that the universe lives within our body and consciousness. Understanding this brings reverence, balance, and inner hygiene. The Guru anchors this realization through grace. It's a rediscovery of sacred science, how forehead lines, breath, and Guru principle reflect cosmic order. Gurudev unites the ancient vision with the modern understanding, showing that when awareness awakens, the whole universe becomes your intimate home, Jagadev.